I've been doing some work on my Clodbuster. This is the re-release version, not the original. As you can tell by, well, actually maybe you can't tell because I've painted everything black. I didn't really like the blue color it came with, and I always wanted the original one. So this has gone through a lot of transformations. So kind of the key things that you see here. I bought some other tires for this. I ended up putting it on one of my other RCs, my /4x4 monster truck. And so I'm going back with the stock. And you know what? I really like the stock. What I did is I made everything nice. I glued everything up. The tires are nice and squishy. And I showed in one of my previous videos how to actually set that up so you have nice soft tires. This makes a big difference when running around this or that. The body is the stock one. What I did is ordered in the UK some of the original stock Clodbuster decals. They're amazing, but I find they are a little too thick. So what I've had to do is actually put some CA glue behind it to kind of hold it on. I believe this is an RPM light bar, and this is stock. Let's take a look at it from the top here too. So pretty much everything on this is original, but I've modified it a lot. So actually, that being said, maybe not everything on here is original. Of course, it is an Autobot, which is badass. All right, let's set you back down over here quickly. There we are. Oh, that was quick, right? So if you take off the body, you can actually insert 5mm LEDs into it. But I find that whenever a body comes off, you always have to clip it on, so that I normally don't do that. So again, let's take another closer look here on the modifications I've done. So a couple of things I've done. I've got when I got this, it actually came with a manual speed control. So I just took, I don't even know what this is, like a Skyfly or Tritronic, something like that. The thing I like about these is if you want to change anything from LiPo, forward, reverses to that, all you have to do is swap out one of those. You don't have to program, you don't have to do any of that stuff. And at first, back in the day, but I got the Spectrum radio. I'm like, wow, this is really, really cool. And then it turned out to be a giant pain in the ass because you got to program everything and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And I'm going back to the simplicity. Now, this does have a Spectrum controller, and it is ran by that. And this is one of the best Spectrum controllers I have. But kind of back to basics. It's just nice to have a good ESC, an easy receiver, and a good controller. I probably just contradicted myself when I said that. Now, another thing that I did too is I've also, under here, I've cut all this out. I did that to actually kind of lose a little bit of weight because this Clodbuster is really heavy. But when it comes right down to it, I didn't really lose that much weight. Looking at the front of it, the way I actually have the servo mounted here, and I just made my own homemade servo brackets. It cost nothing pretty much. I just had a piece of aluminum sitting there. But when these go up, let's see if I can show you this here. It was actually hitting the bottom of the chassis. So when I cut all this out, and you can see my hands there, when I cut all this out, that made a huge, huge difference. Another thing I did is I just took aluminum L-stock, front and back, and that gives it the support it needs. So, without this is kind of all flexy and stuff like that. So I did add a front and rear servo. Again, I did make the mounts. And what I did was actually, this is a Traxxas bar. I honestly don't remember what the part number is. I did make my own. Let's see if I can pull this up here. This thing is heavy. So let's just put it down like this. Move over. Okay. The only thing that's holding it up is that. Okay. So on the bottom, what I did is actually, these are, I got from Home Depot. They're just L plates that I kind of cut and put the holes in where they're supposed to be. Now you can buy these, if you can still find them, on eBay, but this cost me, I think it was $2. And I just took the time and I mounted it up there because the Clodbusters are really known for breaking right here. Not here, but actually on the plastic mounts. So I've reinforced that, so that's not going to happen. Pretty much everything else on this truck is stock. At one point in time, it had all the blue stuff, and you can see the blue here, but I wasn't a really big fan of the blue, so honestly, I took off the body and the wheels, and I just spray painted everything. But that was before I actually did this, so that's why this isn't actually black. So let me tip it back over here. So I've also taken and wired directly. Can you see this? You probably can't. I've made the motor wires much shorter, and I've read that really helps. So I mean, longer wire is one thing, but shorter wire will give you more power, less resistance, etc., etc. I did paint the wheels white, and here you can see a bunch of tape that I did so it would be waterproof. Now, I've kind of changed that because this isn't actually, I'm not going to be running this in the rain or the snow much. And even if you do run in the snow, you're not going to get a lot in the tires anyway. But one thing I did add is oil-filled shocks here. Can you see those very well? So I got these from, I don't know, either Banggood or AliExpress. And to be honest, I wish I would have kept I mean, this makes a huge difference. I'm not running any fluid in it whatsoever, but it still makes it really, really stiff. And I mean, I know it is a heavy truck, but I kind of miss a little bit of the stock bounce. But this is the best handling I've ever had this Clodbuster. The way it sits. You can go back on my channel and find previous videos of this, and as long as it's got this red body here, that is the new updated Clodbuster that I have at this time, and it works really, really well. Other than that, you know, I'm looking at maybe getting another Clodbuster. I'd like to have one back to stock again, and honestly, I'll probably end up painting the body red like it is here and getting these decals again. To me, this is the ultimate Clodbuster. I don't really like the new decals on the new one. I did have this blue with the decals on it. My wife helped me apply them, and it was a pain in the ass. These ones are nice and easy, super simple, and I did a couple of things like painted the grill, etc., etc. And yeah, all in all, this is an amazing vehicle. I love the Clodbuster. I mean, I had a red Aerial from Radio Shack, and one of the people I knew at high school actually had a Clodbuster, and I was so envious, and that's why I ended up buying this one. It's absolutely amazing, and I'm so glad I got it. If you want something that's solid axle, motor on axle, that's going to give you kind of the best bang for your buck, I honestly think the Clodbuster is that vehicle. Now, I know there's a lot of modern monster trucks that are coming out, and I mean, you can spend a lot of money. Right now, Canadian, this thing is running about $400 plus tax. So that's actually not too bad. I've had this for over, I'm going to say 10 years. And it cost me about $300 back in the day. So it's only gone up $100 from then to now. And it's definitely worth it. If I was to do it again, and most likely I will be, I'm going to be painting the wheels a different color right up front before I glue the tires on, and I'm going to put the servos pretty much right on the front, or I'm going to put a quarter scale servo straight in the center and then put solid links all around. I normally find that I don't use the stock servo savers for front and rear. They just seem to be really loose and sloppy, but that's something that I can look at on my next build. Anyway, I just kind of wanted to go over that for you. Anybody who's interested in a Clodbuster, a couple of little, you know, I did stuff a little differently, cutting out the chassis and stuff like that. Honestly, it really wasn't worth doing that, except for the servos were up and hitting the way I did things. I do have the four-wheel steering. It's four-wheel drive. Oh, and I had all the diffs locked. So the front one here, I had it locked and the rear locked. I found that the steering was absolutely horrible, even with the four-wheel steering, because when you lock the diffs, it's very difficult to steer. So this is now an open diff on the front, and on the rear it's still locked. And this seems to be the best of all situations at this, because the rear steer can really make this thing dart left and right at high speed. But since I locked the rear differential, it doesn't do that now. So you actually have proper steering, and it works very well. One thing I do recommend is that when you're looking at putting servos on the front, I know you can't see that very well. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. A servo on the front. This is just a Traxxas servo saver. So, is that a Traxxas servo saver? It is a servo saver nonetheless. I can't remember if it's Traxxas or Robinson Racing or DuraPro. I honestly, I'm sorry, I don't remember. But this is a necessity. You will, with these big wheels and such, you will tear out the gears of everything. And even with a metal servo, that's, I mean, unless you're spending hundreds of dollars on a servo, which, good God, I hope it wouldn't break, then you would have no problem. This is kind of like a budget build. So, I mean, I've had this for a really long time, and it works out really, really well. And I just wanted, you know, to show to everyone that you can still make a Clodbuster that's really, really fun. New vehicles are coming out all the time, but I mean, the Clodbuster is classic. Motor on axle. I mean, it's just a fantastic truck. It looks absolutely amazing. And yeah, so anyway, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you are interested. I have some weird ass videos, and I call it as it is. I don't really sugarcoat anything. No one pays me to do any of this stuff. This is all on my dollar, so I feel I can give a proper review. The Clodbuster is absolutely amazing. You spend a little time, and well, I spent a lot of time actually getting this truck the way it was, because stock, I couldn't stand it. I mean, you couldn't even go up a hill without it diffing out all over the place, if that, or even sand or anything like that. Now this is the ultimate truck. Believe it or not, now I want one that's actually stock, so I can build it up and paint it and do everything that I want. I probably will still lock the rear diff. I will leave the front diff open, and I'm thinking about putting a 1/4 scale servo in there, and I think that will work really well. I don't even know if I'm going to need a steering servo saver for that as well. But anyway, thanks for watching. Again, click subscribe and put note in the bottom. Yes, bye. See you in the next video.